Todd Richards here, Roots, Hearts,
and Soul.
Stefan and I are launching this podcast based off cookbook Roots, Heart, and Soul by myself, Todd Richards, with a great help from Chef Stefan, the man, the myth, the legend himself.
Oh, you stop, you. We have such a beautiful history together.
I mean, it's crazy. Really, what people are going to get from this podcast is telling the story of Afro people, Afro cuisine.
We're going to be telling the story of the Pan-African diaspora.
Roots, heart, soul of the world, as we say. We'll be launching in a couple of weeks here. Some terrific guests. Stay tuned. Follow us on all our social media at Chef Todd Richards in all formats. Chef Stefan, what's yours?
ChefStefan.it, AYITI. This is the correct way to say Haiti.
Well, we're getting education already.
So if you want to find out more, if you want to listen to great stories being told by amazing, amazing culinary talents, we're going to be hearing stories from Africa all the way to the Caribbean, all the way to the Americas. It's going to be something special.
Giving everyone the good rhythm, the good vibes.
Yeah, baby.
We look forward to seeing everyone. Talk soon.
Westholme is working with the land to create nature-led Australian Wagyu. Westholme believes that when nature leads, flavor follows. Learn more at westholme.com.
You're listening to Heritage Radio Network.
Well, hello. Welcome to All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network. I'm your host and producer, Shari Bayer, and it is Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024, and this is our 391st episode of this series, which is dedicated to behind-the-scenes talent in the hospitality industry. Today, I have a special interview, which I did on location in Copenhagen, with a very impressive chef who is known for his impressions, and I will introduce him fully in a moment. But first, as I do in every show, I will start out with my PR tip. Then later, we'll have my exclusive interview, which includes a speed round game. And there's also a follow-up interview, which took place in Las Vegas. And then I'm going to close out with my solo dining experience. As the founder of Bayer Public Relations, we're going to tip the show off, my PR tip of the week. So today's tip is to be a conversation starter. Take the initiative to talk about topics that are meaningful to you and to us, and use your platform to share these ideas, expressing your opinion, inspiring others, and advocating for the changes you would like to see in the world, and begin what could be difficult but important conversations. Of course, in championing ideas, there needs to be respect and kindness and understanding for different people's points of view, in creating a comfortable environment for all. But we should not be afraid to be heard, as voicing our opinion is key to moving the world forward. So let's start with thoughtful conversations, as that's how we evolve and grow as a people. That's my tip today. Okay, so I'm super excited to share this episode with you, as I have an interview that I did at the end of April 2024 when I was visiting Copenhagen, Denmark on a solo trip. And it's with Rasmus Munk, the head chef and co-owner of Alchemist restaurant. The Alchemist experience consists of 50 impressions accompanied by beverage pairings with the notion to expect the unexpected. And now that I've experienced it, I can tell you it was all that and more. I had the privilege of dining at Alchemist the night before this interview, and that is actually when I met Rasmus for the first time. I was having dinner with my friend Howard, and towards the end of our experience, I asked Rasmus if I could come back the next day and chat with him, and he said yes. And it was a thrill. I had such an extraordinary experience at his restaurant, and then having the opportunity to sit down with him and hear his story was truly special. And I'm so glad I can share it with you today. So I'm not going to get into such a long bio for Rasmus, as we do dive into his history in our conversation, but I will share that Alchemist has received 2 Michelin stars. And at the time we recorded this, Alchemist was ranked number 5 on the world's 50 best restaurants list 2023 and is currently number 8 on the 2024 list. And it is also number 1 on Opinionated About Dining 2024 in Europe. And Rasmus is number 6 on the Best Chef list 2023. All remarkable achievements. Rasmus was born in the town of Randers in Jutland, Denmark. And at age 22, he became head chef at Treetop in Vejle, where he started combining ingredients, textures, and flavors in new ways, ultimately leading to the opening of his first restaurant, Alchemist, in Copenhagen in 2015. Then after 2 years of preparation in 2019, he moved Alchemist to the space where I dined, which is a 22,000 square foot restaurant in the industrial district in Copenhagen. And he's showcasing holistic cuisine and an artfully composed dining experience with performers, installations, and incredible architecture, including a planetarium dome, which is super cool. And we'll talk all about it in our conversation. And in addition, Rasmus has teamed up with Space VIP, a luxury space travel group, which is described as a carbon neutral spaceflight experience company, to offer stratospheric dining on a 6-hour flight taking off from Florida in 2025. Exciting. So our interview is a little longer. We sat in the lounge area of his restaurant, which overlooks the test kitchen. And at the end of that segment, we go to Las Vegas, where I speak with Rasmus at the World's 50 Best Restaurants 2024 in June. And our conversation took place after the award ceremony at a breakfast that was hosted by the organization. And it was really great to chat with him there about his number 8 spot on the list, which is incredible. And you'll know the difference in segments as there's a little bit of background noise. It was a fabulous breakfast, as was all of the celebrations in Vegas for the 50 Best. So thank you, 50 Best, for having me. And thank you again to Rasmus for the extraordinary experience at your restaurant and for sharing your story with us today. And big congratulations to you and your team. And with that, let's go to my interviews with Rasmus Munk of Alchemist in Copenhagen, Denmark. I hope you enjoy. So hi, Rasmus. How amazingly special it is for me to be here right now in your beautiful, doesn't even describe it, for your restaurant, Alchemist, and having dined here last night, which was such an extraordinary experience. So we will get into all of that, but I always like to start out with my guests and find out more about their background. And so can you take us back a little bit into like where you grew up and what inspired you to become a chef?
I mean, I'm from a very conservative farmer family from Jutland, so not from the capital, Copenhagen. So a little bit more on the countryside, and my family have never been interested in food. We never went to a restaurant. I only went to McDonald's like every Friday. It was like the highlight of my of the week, to go to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal and later on a Big Mac. But it was so like food was nothing in our life. My mom is a terrible chef and don't cook well, and it was more about having a nice house and all of the decoration and nice cars and stuff like that. They didn't have that much money, but it was more about that than the content in the culture, and never visited a museum or like a theater or anything. So it's a very I would say very classic for like many, I think, Danish families actually is in that way. I think we're privileged now in small Copenhagen. We have this like sphere of people is within food, but it's still a little sphere. So yeah, I was more in the cards want to become a mechanic. I really loved engineering and set cars and work with scooters and like bikes and stuff. For me, that was very interesting. And one of my best friends, he went to the culinary school because he needed to get some money from the government. So I went with him because then in the spare time we could drill in cars and then like a couple of days into the school, I completely, I don't say falling in love with it, but I was very surprised by this this unknown world. There were so many like ingredients I've never seen before. People that were whisking egg yolks to turn into like a sauce hollandaise, and like there was things that I've never have imagined was possible. I never tried, so it was quite a completely new world, and in that way I was trying to figure out like how do I learn much more about this, and then I decided to become a chef, not with any ambitions of being a great chef or I didn't know there was anything called Michelin stars or like anything about the industry of business, and so it was a big coincidence, and then I was fortunate that the place that I picked to be an apprentice was nearby my house, to be honest, my parents' house. So I just...
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
and what type of restaurant was it?
It was not a restaurant, it was a canteen. So it was a catering company. We did like food for some mechanics and some blacksmiths every day. So around 500 people. So it was very like down to earth food, ingredients, and but the guy that was a head chef there and owner was very classic skill trained. So he was like from a Michelin restaurant in Copenhagen and moved to Jutland, to my little city with 3 houses. So like big coincidence, and he knew how to cook. So in that way, I learned all of the fundamental in the canteen, and also to cook all from couscous salads to pastas to meatballs to like, so the fundamental of gastronomy and cuisine was very good for me to learn it there. I, of course, lacking all of the restaurants experience, to how do you plate things, how do you like compose a dish, and like all of these things I was lacking on. But I learned all of the fundamental there, and I was there for 4 years, and then after that I traveled to. In that meantime, I of course learned when you're in schools in Denmark, you see other restaurants and you know about like what is a Michelin guide, and you figure out a couple of things, and I also competed with in some young competitions for chef students, and there was this, you could be the best student in Denmark, and I wanted to win that, and I won that, and then you could be the best in the Nordic, and I was privileged to win that, and then you could be the best in Europe, and it kind of like went very, very, very good, and in the end of my like student career, I wanted to travel, and I wanted to travel to the States. I wanted to work with Thomas Keller, but he was I couldn't speak a word English, so when I went to the embassy in Copenhagen, it always cost me like a gas full of like a tank full of gas to go here with the car, but also I got declined 5 times because I didn't fill out the form correctly. My parents cannot speak English either, and so I was declined, and I had like I have a chef tattoo on the arm. It's like respect for food is respect for life, and it's a quote by Thomas Keller for who we are and what we do. So I was a very big fan of him and per se and French Laundry. So I really wanted to go there, but yeah, it didn't work out that way. And then I saw a job offer on Facebook with a Danish chef in London, and London was a part of EU and back then, and I was applying for that. The only like they had you needed to be good at English and you needed to have worked in a Michelin star restaurant, and I've never done any of those things. So I was like, I think I can handle it. So I said, I will do that, and then I moved to London as I was 18.
I was about to ask, like, so you're 18, and what year is this? Because this around.
This is in 2000 and must be 2010. Something
okay.
Like that. And then moved 2010, 2011, moved to London and learned to speak English. and learn to
Your
operate.
English is great. I was like, wouldn't have known you didn't speak it until you were
so it was and then
18 plus.
Then learned to operate in a kitchen with a Michelin star, and for the first time in my life tried to work with some of these ingredients on the highest level to get in products there's a life and there's a very, very good quality. I mean, when it's a canteen, is more, the quality can of course be better.
Yeah. But where in London were you?
This was in a restaurant called North Road. It was open for 3 years and then it shut down. It became a Michelin star restaurant and the owner didn't want to have a Michelin star, and so it didn't turn out very good. Yeah, it was really weird. But it was located in Farringdon, in St. John Street, just across St. John Restaurant.
Okay, I've been there.
Which is very famous. So St. John Restaurant was on one side and we were on the other side, and it was a take on, I would say, new Nordic gastronomy. It was very inspired by Noma and all of the new Nordic movement, but then with Scottish ingredients and UK ingredients. So it was a very nice restaurant, but a one-star Michelin restaurant with very good ingredients, and there was a 7-course tasting menu and also a big a la carte menu, and we had 90 guests a day. So it was a busy place as well. So I really learned how to work in this type of kitchens and also to talk English and work around that, and also have, in the end, I became a assistant head chef there and got responsibility for some staff members, also even older than me, and how to operate and deal with all of that. So
okay, so you're in London and you were there for a couple of years, and then did you move back here?
Then I moved back to Denmark, but still to Jutland, which is the main part. And I became a head chef there in a restaurant. I was 21, 22. And
so you're starting to get older.
Yeah, started getting older. Became a head chef there, and then it was a hotel restaurant, so in a way I could find my own language within this restaurant, and ordering different things and try to figure out what kind of style do I do when I'm a head chef here, and it was very inspired by all of the other things around. Of course, Noma and Geranium and all of the new Nordic movement. Made tableware from local hipsters with long beards, and went to the forest and foraging all my things myself. And it also started to tell this narrative of me, of a thing that was not original and true, but was just popular and a way to get success with the restaurant. So we got a lot of good accolades there, and I became best young chef in Denmark and all of these things. And I worked 90 hours a week to try to make this restaurant into one of the best in Denmark, but it was still. It was a little bit in a way fake as well, and I took myself in telling a journalist, I'm my mom. I got so many good food memories, and tried to stir whatever I could, but there was nothing. So it tapped me into a thing where I didn't see that big meaning with it. And then I have a couple of charity organizations. One of them is called Wish Christmas, if you directly translate it from Danish, and it's organizing a Christmas Eve for families that have a hard time. So curated by Red Cross and different charity organizations, and they're bringing these families together where we are cooking a whole meal for them on Christmas Eve, and bringing them presents and making a dance around the Christmas tree, and make a classic Christmas evening just for around 500 people. And that evening in 2000 and Christmas Eve in 2014, I was getting so much more out of it. I was seeing all of these happy faces of the families. I could feel my food made a difference, and it was just classic food. It was nothing special or fancy, not even organic ingredient. We got what we could get sponsored, so it was just in the oven. You could cook with one hand on the back, and you could make this big difference for this many people. So I kind of set myself and I wanted to do something that had an importance in my life, something with a bigger meaning than just working 90 hours a week to create whatever accolades for your restaurant and for your name. it needed to mean more. So I quit my job as a head chef in this restaurant, and I didn't know what to do. To be honest, I was like. I thought that I maybe should go do charity work in other countries than Denmark, where there was more need for it, and cook there. But at the same time, I loved the energy in the kitchen. I loved the creativity and to be innovative, and the team working along to get the best product. All of this, like, energies in the kitchen I really, really enjoyed. And then there was the idea came up with Alchemist. Could you make a restaurant where you could change the world through gastronomy? Went to my bank to ask if I could lend some money to make a restaurant that would make a difference in the world, but not earn any money. And I got completely a solid no. But then I went again with some budgets where we earned a little bit of money. And I actually got allowed to rent or loan some money, like 2 million Danish kroners. And then I opened Alchemist in a smaller location in 2015.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. You say, did just wake up in the middle of the night, you had this idea to make a restaurant that did more than just serve people delicious food and hospitality and make change. How did that come about? Was it something in you that was like, on your mind for a while, and then you're like, I really want to do this, and I'm going to do this?
Yeah, I think Christmas Eve was for me a eye opener that I maybe I feel like I used my life wrong. Like I feel like I wasted my time and like a big why do you do this? Is it to get Michelin stars? Is it to get your name out there? Like what is the reason why you're doing this?
Yeah.
What is the purpose with it? And then I think like after a couple of months thinking, I got a lot of job offers for like different restaurants in Copenhagen, hotels around the world. I've been working in London, so I had some connections there as well. But all of it was kind of the same. You go and you make this restaurant. You have you can make 3 snacks. You can have 7-course meal. Like you can have some petit fours, and like we want to have Michelin star. We have a Michelin star. We want to have 2, or we want to have. It was everything was kind of the same recipe of making a restaurant. And then I begin to think about like, could you maybe combine this like fine dining, because you could also see like restaurants like Osteria Francescana or 11 Madison Park or Noma, like El Bulli. All of these restaurants had like such a big platform and such a big were like power in a way that they could change things if they really want. They could go out and make a big change.
Massimo is a great example of that.
Yeah, exactly. So they go out and can drizzle down in society and making like changes from the platform. And I think that's very interesting. So that was kind of like, okay, can we make a restaurant where you also maybe communicate through the food and maybe talk about subjects meanwhile eating, so you actually put something more to your guests than just a great food and pleasure. And so that was the original idea, and then in the start it was hard. Like we didn't know how to do it. So we tried a lot of different things, and then there was like one dish and the old restaurant that made for me the change. We did a organ donation dish with a lamb heart tartar inside. So you need to like scrape out the tartar of the lamb heart. And then with this blood sauce that we poured on top of it, with a little organ donation fold on the side, so you could, at the same time you're eating, you could sign up to be an organ donor, and you could decide what kind of organs you wanted to donate. So it created a lot of like, of course, fuss in the restaurant, but also the local medias took up the stories, and then eventually BBC Worldwide made a story about this dish, and I was like, if BBC like making a story about such an important subject as organ donation and begin to question this and discuss it, I was like, this is interesting. A restaurant without any Michelin stars, without any World Chef the Best fame, or with a very unknown chef from Jutland with 4 people working here. It's like, if that's possible with that little frame and platform, then I think it was towards not a new category, but a new way of maybe think about food and the experience. and I thought that was very interesting. So I went to my sous chef and said, like, we need to do more dishes like this.
Not to get something here.
Yeah, not to get publicity on it, but to get because it could awake these like emotions and feelings and create a debate and awareness, and I think that was very interesting. And imagine if we took that in a bigger scale and even got like some accolades that could help support the platform, and where could it end, and always thought about like having projects that was beyond the restaurant. So we did some charity work at the old restaurant as well, and had an organization as well there, but then I got the privilege I had my investor coming and dine in the restaurant, and he was like, if you ever want to do something bigger, let me know. And then we started to talk about, I had a dream about making something bigger, and I projected it for him how it would look, and he was on board, and then we opened this space in 2019. So,
Wow. I mean, I wear a few hats in the industry, and one of them is PR, which is what I've been doing the longest, actually. And it's interesting to hear you talk about the PR that you got, because sometimes people create things or do things for the press, and you like created this thing, and then you realized in it that like, wait a minute, people are paying attention to this, and this is cool. So I love hearing your backstory on that. And I've dined out a lot around the world. I've had many tasting menus. Very lucky. I love being part of this industry. But there's nothing really I've had or experienced quite like my dinner here last night, which I looked at my phone when I was leaving. I was like, what time is it? And I was like, it was 11, and I got here at 5. So I had a 6-hour experience that went by very fast, in the sense that, I didn't realize I was here for 6 hours, because it was just so beautifully orchestrated and delicious and cool. Like, so cool. So you found, this place, we're in this warehouse space, and I asked a couple of times last night, like, because the design there's so many interesting, cool, amazing components, but like oh wow, the designer, this is amazing. They're like, you're the designer, or is your vision?
I was privileged to get allowed to draw it myself and design it myself. We had some of the best architect companies in, but all of them wanted to do something like very
traditional, or like what you've seen before,
in a way, like a lot of like timber and concrete and building up in wood and have daylight coming in, and all of these things is amazing. But and you can actually see it from this window height. You can see the water in Copenhagen. So most people would just probably made a lounge there, and you could look out the water and everything. But I said to them, to the architect, I want to black everything out. I want to make this dome, and nobody of them was interested in doing that. And I could feel there was already a clash from the first meeting, because they, of course, put the name into it. So I said to my investor, I said, like, I think if we need to have it in this way, that I think I need to like design it and draw myself and get a help from some design studio that can put my thoughts into paper, and of course you can work from them. So that was So I was involved in from everything to this micro cement here, to designing the tables, to the lamps, to everything in the house. But it also took 2 years, constantly working every day and night. So.
Well, it's so impressive. It's a huge space. Talk us through a bit of the different rooms you have for someone who hasn't been here. Because I could try, but you would do a much better justice. Because I think it is a little hard to describe.
It's a quite big house. It's like in total on different floors, it's around 2,200 square meters. There's 900 square meters in ground floor, so it's built up in different floors. And you also, as a guest, move around. And the idea was that you never come the same place twice, only if you go to the toilet a couple of times. But otherwise, you will be in new rooms, and there will always be something that like is getting bigger or like smaller, or like you translate it into a new world every time you walk into a new to a new room, and you can never see what's going to happen next time. So there's not anything that's revealed before you come up to the balcony, which is the end destination. But you start outside, where we have this big bronze door. There's 4 meter high and nearly 2.5 meter wide. Designed by Maria Rubinke, one good friend of mine, a Danish artist, and she was making ceramics, and of course it's not that sustainable to make a door out of ceramics, so we talked about she changing material and making bronze for this piece here, and this first bronze piece and the first door she ever made. Now she's only doing in bronze, so that's very interesting. But she made this like huge door for us, and we have the sound outside, the sound design, which is also designed in house. We have sound composer here just doing all of the sounds for the evening, and that is the door is opening up. You come into the first room where we just confirm the reservation and get your jackets, and then you go into the first installation room. That was very important for me in the restaurant to have rooms that were dedicated to art, where you can combine it with food, but it was also like a room that could just be artistic installation and have nothing to do with the food. That's also why we call everything in the house impressions. So this first room right now is talk about identity. There's a lot of ways to mirror yourself in this room. It's like a big mirror in the middle of it. There's all of these different boxes with different heights and sizes. Also a little bit to replicate like what humans are, and like humans is in different sizes and different heights and different way to reflect yourself. And so guests is going up on these different pedestals so they can look at themselves from different angles, and you get this like edible mirror, so you can kind of mirror, reflect yourself into that if you do it, and then you can digest your own you, and then you can go out in this room which we're sitting in now, is this the lounge. And in installation there's this like voice putting up all of these big questions, who are you, and like all of these questions that I think everybody's asking themselves time to time, like am I in the right place, do I do the right thing, is this correct, like and especially today with younger generation, social media, like there's so many things going on, buzzing constantly around you, and maybe you just need a time to reflect upon things and maybe have a little silence as well. So then you go into the lounge, you're seated down here, because also you come into a room where there's a dancer and a performer, and there's all of these things going on. And for some, there's maybe not done the research 100%.
Like,
they was like, what just happened? What did I get myself into? And to be honest, I'm a very introvert person, so I will not like to go into this room with a dancer. I will hate it.
That's so interesting.
So, but I like to curate it, but I don't like to participate in myself. But then you come out here, and I can imagine people is a little bit like, what's going on? So down here, we will not start serving you a tongue dish, or like we want people to settle, get some champagne, a cocktail, talk to a real human, and to also to get serve some snacks to start with. And we start out with some snacks that's very classic in the flavors, all from like a smoky ball with caviar to daisy flour with a little liquid cocktail to an omelette or a bikini toast. So like different things that's a little bit more comfortable.
They were all so delicious, the omelette, the bikini toast, but also exquisite, the butterfly, where as the diner, even just picking it up, you had to be extremely gentle on some of these pieces so as to not to break a component of it that you probably spent like 17 hours making. And beautiful.
Quite sensitive cuisine, and I think that's maybe the hardest part. Actually working here is, and heard from many chefs that's been working in many Michelin restaurants around the world. We get a very broad team from like 38 different nationalities right now. So it's like a huge diverse team, but all of them is like they have the same like with that we're very nerdy about temperatures and textures, and like things need to be served at the right time, and like so there's so much timing in it. And many times, many things is very fragile. So also with the plating, so we have a lot of things like when people is up or like. So there's a lot of like logistic in getting that to work. And then when you are sitting here and getting all of these snacks, you can also choose the drinks for tonight. You know, we have this iPad that's designed
very
into
cool technology.
For me, it was like I like wine myself, and I drink a little bit of wine, but I don't know that much about wine. So when I'm looking at this huge wine list, I don't get that much out of it. Could you make some kind of tool where you're more interactive with the wines and you could regions and countries and maybe learn a little bit more the geography of the wines and the regions, and that was the idea for that iPad and the design of that. So
and I don't drink alcohol, and you had an extremely impressive drinks and the non-alcoholic, and that it was very well thought out and a nice selection. I really enjoyed having that with my meal, and your team here is so knowledgeable and lovely. Really wonderful, guiding us through the menu and the experience and all the impressions. You definitely made an impression. And we're sitting here now in the lounge and we're overlooking the test kitchen area.
Test kitchen, yeah. I just got served a dish to give some feedback on. So it's like
don't let me stop you.
No problem. But the test kitchen is operating daytime now. With the cleaning for now is the test kitchen team. So they meet in the morning at 7 to 9, they decide what time, and then they just go home a little bit later if they come at 9. But they are in the daytime working on new dishes and new concepts, and then in the evening we take over the kitchen, the service team, and then they make the snacks from here. And then when you choose what you want to drink for the night, you move your way up and have this look. In this room is actually the only room that's full height. And it's not even true because the floor here go up. You can go up a ramp when you come from the installation room up to the lounge. So there's like 1.5 meter of concrete on this. But otherwise, it's the full height, 25 meters. You can look up.
It's amazing.
Look of these.
It's the highest ceiling probably of a restaurant I've been in.
brass lamps that I got my uncle. There's a blacksmith. I got him to cut these brass pipes when we took over the restaurant because of my idea of making these lamps. And we had leave them outside for 1 year to pattern up and then drill some holes to make a little lamp bolt into it. And then you walk up and look at the wine cellar, which is made in glass. So it's a wine tower. So it's like 15 meters high and built in glass and consists throughout now around 9,800 bottles. So
that's what she said last night. We were like, wow.
Yeah, so they could buy maybe 200 cheap bottles, so we can say there's 10,000. But I'm not done yet. Then you walk into the next room over the tower is built up in glass. So you walk over this glass bridge where you can look down on the champagne cellar as well. And then you walk into the dome, which is the main dining room. So it's inspired by a planetarium. For me, when I was in 8th grade, I went to Copenhagen with the public school, and we went to the planetarium, and it was like mind-blowing for me to see this like universes coming and like stars. And so I always had a dream about making, not making a restaurant because I didn't know that back then, but like I was always fascinated about that. And when I got my first possibility to make a restaurant, I was thinking about making a dome and didn't have the budget for doing that. But then when I had my investor here on board, it was like, okay, this need to be a reality. And then we built this huge dome where it's projected, 10 projectors is projecting up images in the dome and different scenographies through the night, changing from jellyfish with plastic bags swimming around to Inside a Human, where you talk about organ donation with 8 flowers symbolizing that you can save potentially 8 lives if you sign up to be organ donor, to
beautiful
Bauhaus,
Japanese
to the Sakura,
exactly. And it changed a lot, and from being lighter, brighter to a darker, and then there's
that's the anxiety part right now as well. It's like with I think so maybe like these hands and the faces that was kind of trapped. Where you go a little bit more darker and it's for me is a big problem right now in generations, especially the young generation, but also myself personally. It's a hard field to be trying to be one of the best for years and try to build something that's novel and try to so I can also feel on myself to have these ups and downs and reflecting upon things, and so it's also it is a canvas for creating stories that is that's not limited to flavors and textures. I think that is a limitation in the kitchen that will, for me, always be there, because I believe that things need to taste good. You need to have good textures in these things, and that's a limitation. But on this canvas, you can be completely creative without having that limitation. So it's for me, it's just another way to be creative. We have a studio of 4 VFX artists, 1 graphic designer, and a sound composer. They're doing all of the content.
It's so well choreographed, and I think you went recently. I've been to the Sphere in Vegas.
Yeah, just
yeah. So I went. I saw U2. Is that the concert
you saw as well?
Okay, and I had moments, obviously, last night, like where I was thinking of the Sphere, because that, to me, that experience, that going to a concert and the way they use the dome, their dome, was amazing. Yeah. It's magical, and I've always been a fan of U2. I would see them at any venue, but now I felt like it kind of spoiled any future concerts of like seeing a show, because it was so incredible. And so your Sphere is, I mean, there were similarities, at least. Like, I don't know how between the sound and the different graphics and coordinating that, I have no idea really how that is put together. But as a restaurant, you were timing what was happening along with how we were getting each course and drinks, and it was so beautifully done. Just impressive. And then to see, I'm jumping a little ahead, but at the end, when you brought us in the kitchen, and to see your system, the
logistic, like yes, Trello system that we have put some overlays on top, but it is a way to work and operating. We have different tickets for, like, as you have normal tickets for a restaurant where you just pen and paper,
piece of paper, and you put it through
digital and put it out there to all of the screens in the house. And I think we have 27 or 25 different like screens around, sending out all of the, so it's coordinated at the same. So when they in the entrance say this guy here is blue eyes and is left-handed, then we know, okay, we will curate the eyes to be a blue eye to this person. We'll make sure that we put up cutlery left-handed, and so all of the information is given straight away to all of the screens. And we have 2 master screens. There's like coordinating that one down here and one upstairs, and they're like in charge of assure all of the screens. So it was really like a little bit stressful in the start to make it that way, because everybody needed to get used to it. But now it's working very nice. And then we have a timeline as well of the music and the content. So it's also a thing that you need to get used to when you work here as a chef on the way to, like, many times you say in the start, like when you just want to fry something or do something, I was like, no, you cannot do this, because in 2 seconds there will be a sound coming here that they need to listen to the guest, and you cannot do. So like there's some other, where in other restaurants you just do it, and like you go to that flow.
Right.
But here there's some other parameters that you also need to follow. There's not just about the food, but it's also about the experience. And I think it's maybe for me a little bit what have been neglected in the industry here, like in fine dining. It's been very much about food and service, and always up, like maybe you are lucky you have a PR assistant, you have a booking manager, but otherwise you are like chefs and waiters. And for me, I mean, 95% of our guests don't know that much about food that we do. Like it's not at the nerdy level that we see it every day, and we try everything. So who do we cook for? Do we cook for ourselves, or do we cook for the guest? And many guests in many ways will get more out of getting a tableware design that is aesthetic, new, or beautiful, or novel, and have the right feeling in the cutlery, or a new feeling than they will get out of having the chives look exactly in the same direction, or a new way that we chefs look at it. So it's not to neglect the food, and it's not to not focus on it, because we do that a lot, but we also have taken this like other step financially to say we're gonna invest in having 2 industrial designers here full time working with us about this. We need to have this sound composer here that can help us with this part. We have 2 dancers, we have a choreography, so we have a script writer helping us with all of the storytelling. And I think that's for me an interesting leg to put on it. And I know we can do it because we're huge, and a restaurant are in operation, and we have financially backing that made it possible
to
start to do this.
And
not all,
budget,
no, exactly.
Course,
so for us now, it's like a trial and error to find out what it is, and without compromising food. So we still 50 chefs on work every day. So it's in that way, it's also a big operation. So. But I think it's a thing that I hope restaurants, and I can see some start doing it, to take more serious in the future. And I think maybe instead of having then 5 chefs in the kitchen or 6 chefs in the kitchen, maybe have 4, and then you have one designer as well on top, part of the team. Because I think the guest, in the end of the day, can get a lot out of it, and it also created a new market for us. We have the privilege from we opened to now. We had around 1 million people on the waiting list to dine here. Around 35,000 on. I
can't believe I got a reservation.
3 months, so it's.
And I got it the way you get a reservation.
Exactly.
I just hit the button fast.
Yeah.
The people sometimes ask me how I get reservations, and usually it's by going through the system. But that's a long wait list. And
so we've been, but many of these people don't know anything about food. The first time they're visiting a Michelin restaurant is actually here. And it's like, where can we get, if you go to a 3-star Michelin restaurant, we try this geranium we have in Copenhagen.
I've been there many years ago.
And it was like, will we get the same experience? I was like, and then they say even better experience, and not. And I was like, you can maybe get a better experience, but it's more with the food and the service. And for me, it's a big experience. But it's like, but what about, do they have another ball pit room kind of like? And I was like, I need to explain them. No, because the Michelin Guide is something like is something different. It's judging by the food. But it's very interesting when you get these people that's never been to a Michelin star restaurant before, and they come here as the first one. They feel like, okay, so this is a 2-star, and 3-star need to be something, and we have a lot of these people on the waiting list, and a lot of people are dining here that never been to a Michelin star restaurant, but is eager to pay this amount of money to come here, because it is quite expensive to dine here, but wants to do that because of the experience part of it. And I think that's very interesting, and can also be sensitive as a chef to talk about and knowledge as well, because, okay, is my food not important? I have guests sitting at night and say, I've been to Noma and Geranium and here, and the food is great in all of the places. And they not think it's very different. They think the food is great, it tastes really good and creative. And I think it's very different. But what you get here is you have a wine list playing in front of you. And it's like, that's a part of the experience. So it's interesting, I feel like, to go down that path, and also in the future to figure out how much should the food, how much is the food in the experience like this? And am I the right one to be the director of the show, or should be in the end of the day, could maybe be a guy from the theater doing, could it be an instructor more than it's a chef? But I think it's important to, in all of that said, I think it's important still to curate an experience where the food is on a very high level, because if you also come in all of this surroundings, more vertical surroundings, and you come and sit to the table and you will get an overcooked turbot or whatever it could be, then everything will also fall down and and not be as good as
it's interesting, because when you're saying that, I'm thinking there's been experiences like dinner theater sort of interactive things. I've never had an experience quite like last night, and for me, I've always said a great restaurant, you need great food, great service, great ambiance, the 3. Because if you go to a restaurant and the food's amazing, but the service, the way people make you feel, they don't make you feel good. No. I don't particularly want to, I'm not running back as quickly as I'm running back to a place where the people make you feel really special. But all 3 I think are important, and you're adding in the element of experience, of even surprise, of the unexpected. And you have to talk about, you've touched on it, you're using your platform to share messaging and to make change and to get people thinking and donating and doing things and I think you're doing it in a really cool way. That's I think everything you do is very original. You think out of the box. And so, but that's not something you see a lot or ever at restaurants. People using their platform to try to make change. How do you find people react to that? Is it mixed, or?
I think I guess this is of course there's some we had 4 tables through time we had been open, 4 or 5 tables that wanted to leave the restaurant because they thought it was too much, and like, why should they hear about these stories? And like, and it was people that had not done the research about what kind of restaurant they had maybe looked up in a book and said like good reviews or whatever it could be, and then they came. But no, like all of the guests is very positive about it, and actually a lot of guests saying it's so important, and you can get even more. I think it's important is the balance, and there needs to be this balance. I think we do it to the edge of like, I don't want to push more subjects through the night, so it still needs to be a good night for me. Like when people leave the door, like they had a good experience. So it's not social issues and social issues and social issues. There's also like childhood memories, so like good flavors or some special techniques or whatever it could be, a mixture to create the right balance. But the guest is very, very eager on getting this social conscience and to talk about it and debate about it. And for me, it's so rewarding to sit and look at a family talking about being blood donors. And actually more rewarding than if they have complimented the food. So in that way, it creates something for me that have a deeper meaning and more powerful. And for the guests, they're very, very, very happy about it and start to talk. And we have a lot of guests that we have this coral reef where the coral reef is dying through the session. So in 10 minutes it becomes white, and because it bleached out and is dying. And a lot of guests is like, oh, so beautiful. Like I would like to see this in reality, and they don't have any clue about this actually dying coral. So there's also some cultivating sometimes some knowledge about like what's happening. Yeah, so it's an education part of it as well. But I think the most criticism is actually coming from the industry itself. Like, is like the established, not the people that's been here. Of course, we have probably some that don't like it and some that love it. But I can see in the chef world, it's and food critics and food journalists, like they're very nerdy about food. It's like, why do we need to have this? Why does a restaurant need to speak about these things? I've been on gastronomical like conferences where I talked about one of our dishes, hunger. And after that, like half of the crowd in the audience got angry at me, and food journalists was like writing this young white man is capitalizing on hunger and trying. And I don't know if they saw it as a PR stunt or whatever it could be, but and I understand when you see pictures on social media and take it out of context, you can maybe, okay, what is this circus is about? Is they not focusing on flavors or techniques or whatever? But it's interesting. It's coming from that side, and I think it's interesting because it's like we always had this like chefs is artists, and you can compare it to art, but I think that phrase is maybe a little bit overused, and it's maybe not that real, because it's still within this frame of pleasure, and you cannot step beyond that. It's about creativity. Okay, we can paint the plate and make it nice and look good and have a nice sweet story to it. But if it suddenly begins to talk about hunger in the third world, or like blood donation or organ donation or child labor in the chocolate industry, then suddenly it's beyond the ingredients and that creativity, and you get like, you can really get some angry kind of like people haters on it. And it's interesting because, I mean, within music and within art, fine art, you see like artists talk about wars and like hungers and like so big issues and problems, and because they express themselves. And I think this is what I think is interesting is that you can, within food and industries as like restaurants, I feel like we have touched upon something where you also can express yourself, but it's just it seems like it's still a little bit conservative, our industry, in that way.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. I think I'm still, it hasn't even been 24 hours since I dined here, and I think I'm still like digesting the experience myself of like, what was that? Yeah. What happened? I mean, I could not stop laughing after the interactive experience between leaving the dome to the tour of the kitchen to the end lounge, the ballroom. I had no idea that was happening, and I had no idea at all what was to come, and I could not stop laughing. You brought this like joy out of me because I was like, it was so unexpected and fun. Not anything I'd experienced before, but yeah. So I'm still like taking it all in, but I think for me, I mean, everything you just named, I'm like, yeah, all that messaging was a part of our meal. But I never felt like it was in my face to the way, like, you have to donate, you have to change, you have to do it. Like, it was just, it's like, it was presented, I thought, in a really nice way and very creatively between your food. I mean, each dish was just the thought process and the execution of it, whatever went into every dish. And I know it was 50 impressions, but I don't know how many of those were dishes. I mean, I left here, I was very satisfied and full, but not like I was good, but it was like, it's a lot of food. I mean, it's a long experience, but every dish is so unique to itself, and you're telling a story, telling many stories, I feel. So I feel really lucky that I got to come and experience this, and I feel I knew a little bit. Like I almost didn't want to know too much, you know, because I wanted to experience, but I knew a little bit about what you were about. And I was at the world's 50 best in Valencia last year, and I know you're now number 5 on the list, and I'm planning to go back to Vegas to celebrate with you guys, because I love being a part of the celebration. I feel like there's a community of the chefs, and it's a really feel-good vibe. But leading to a question here, like you talked a little earlier on about being the best and winning these competitions as a kid, and like, you know, that was important to you, and you were going for that. And then it seemed like in the middle here, like maybe lost a little the importance of the where are you now with accolades?
I mean, it swapped definitely position in a way, because when I was younger, it was that or nothing. If you didn't get that, you were not a success. Like, so that was what equal to success, was to get these accolades. Now, the success for me is to change the world through gastronomy. So when I work with our charity Jump Food, is doing food for all of the homeless in Copenhagen. Now from August we expand to whole Denmark, and then Sweden and Norway. I feel like we're doing it different. When it's the kids hospital and Mary Elizabeth Hospital, the new hospital that's about to be built, where we are, or they're building it now, but it will be done in 3 years from now, where we're doing all of the gastronomical partnership in that. So when we're making different lines of food for kids with cancer, I feel like, okay, we're doing a big change here when we fund money for getting like department kitchens on the different departments in the hospital. I think, okay, we're doing a big impact to Spora, where we just innovated a product can make rapeseed cake, which is this leftover of the biggest crop in Europe. And we made that into something that's edible, and just patent that technology, and it can satisfy the need of 600 million people's life protein need. So I mean, in those cases, I feel like, okay, I'm making an impact and a difference. And all of that is done because I have Alchemist as a platform, kind of. Like it's helping and supporting that. And that's why I'm contacted by a space agency that wants to have me to cook on the edge of space. and I mean, all of these things happen because...
doesn't happen for everyone or anyone. I mean,
and that happens because we have this restaurant. So I really understand it's coming because of this platform. So in that way, I must say I really would love to have the platform being so strong as possible. And in that way, it's also equal to like doing good and perform good with these like guides, and like, so from being the best restaurant in Denmark, when that's awarded in the White Guide every year, I of course like hope that we will be number 1 in that, because I know that then we still is relevant. It will still have a strong platform, and these things. And we've been privileged of the last 4 years. We've been voted the best restaurant in Denmark, and we are for 3 consecutive years. We've been the best restaurant in Europe by Opinionated by Dining, and now we're number 5 on World's 50 Best. And
it's huge.
So,
I mean,
so many things happen in very short time, and that's really big. And we're very privileged and happy for that. And of course, I would love to be going up even from number 5, and it's because I'm very ambitious about what we're doing. It's also for the team, because they are fighting, and I would say that's maybe like sometimes big contrast is like you're getting chefs in here that's coming because we are this restaurant with number 5 in the world, or like, and they are mainly here because of that and want to be number 1. And some of them is understanding after a time here that there's a bigger mission, and they actually buy into that, and some is staying for many years. But for them it's another thing. So it's also that means so much for them. So in that way, it also means a lot for me. But the overall ambition is to change the world through gastronomy, and right now is building up the biggest platform. And to be honest, I don't know if our position will change that much from number 5 to number 1, or from 2-star to 3 stars. I don't know if it will be so much stronger. Maybe that the fact you can say this is the best restaurant in the world, that phrase will maybe have an impact. Of course, you will get more attention, all of these things, but in many ways,
you have to do a press conference after if you get the number 1. I know that.
But I think like in many ways we privileged that we have so many people on the waiting list, and we had already quite a big hype. Maybe because we do something that is very different from other restaurants. I don't know, but it's in that way. I don't know how much will it change, but I know that the ambition for this place is to build the platform as strong and big as possible. And then when we are one day is finished with that, we close the doors, because then I think my time can be used more wisely, and I think we can channel all of the creativity and knowledge into creating a better future and impact more people than just 52 guests a night. So that's my kind of like strategy for the future as well, and that's also why I invented Spora, is because this will have millions of people's life which impact on, and this is less. So this one is more platform, and when this is strong enough, we will shut down the door. So I'm not here in 20 years in Alchemist for sure.
Yeah, well, and you're so young. I mean, you're in your early 30s.
32.
Yeah. To have this and where you're at today, it's impressive. Yeah, congratulations to you and all you've accomplished. And is there one item right now on your menu that, I hate the word favorite, but like, if we were gonna have a bite right now, what would you choose?
Right now, probably because we had a tasting today, there's been so many weird things. I would like just the bikini toast.
Oh my God, that was so delicious. I was like, that was really delicious. I would take that too.
That's it's a hard question. A lot of guests ask me like, "What is your favorite thing?" And
people ask me favorite restaurant. I'm like, I can't.
It's hard, right? I see it more as a cinematic experience as well. And some dishes is here to do some other things. And I mean, if I go out to cultivate myself as a chef and want to try something, I probably rather want to have served the blood ice cream, because what is this, and do I understand it, do I like it, do I like it, will then the bikini toast, because the bikini toast is like true like pleasure and comfortable. But if I'm sitting home a Sunday morning and just a little bit tired and don't want to reflect upon a lot of things, then I prefer the bikini toast. So it's about time and mood as well for me, and an experience like this, like all of the elements is put into both support and to clean up and like to make you comfortable. So there's different elements to it. So it's hard to choose one. But.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, that's fine. It can change in 10 minutes from now too. I get it. Okay, well, before I let you go, do you want to play my speed round? I have a quick game. It's like, I'll name a couple things, you get to pick your preference, like chocolate or vanilla.
Cool. That's funny.
I'm excited to play my game with you. This will be my game, because you have your games. I played your games. Okay, here we go. Eat in at home or eat out at a restaurant?
Eat out.
Indoor dining or al fresco dining?
Indoor dining.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking like you are on a property that you could create the most ginormous al fresco dining, which we'll see like 2 years from now. I'll come back and it will be here. It will be here. Okay, wine, beer, cocktail, mocktail, or champagne?
Old champagne.
How about tasting menu or a la carte?
Oh, it's a mood thing, right? But if I need to choose, tasting menu.
Okay. How about small plates or large plates?
Small plates.
Communal table or chef's counter?
Communal. Chef counter. Not communal table.
And that just reminded me to ask you or make a note of something. I dine a lot solo.
Alone, yeah.
I'm pretty much known for solo dining. So your restaurant, you currently don't take solo diners. Is that...
Unfortunately.
Okay.
Now
is there a reason behind that?
Know me, so you can get a seat. But
well, no, I found a great friend to come with, Howard, and it was lovely to share the experience with him. Yeah. But being with this, I came from the chef's counter. I think because it's interesting as someone who's dined out a lot by myself. There are restaurants that I get. You're taking the whole table space where to it's a business and you need, to fill more seats. Yeah. But I always think chef's counters and places are great. It's like omakase at a sushi restaurant. It's good for soloists. So
right now we have we're going to say around 18 to 20 tables a day. And it's with 2 tops and 4 tops and 6 tops. We only have 1 6 tops a day, and then most 2 tops and then 4 tops. And it's just the way the bars is designed. So if we had 1 tops, we need to have 2 1 tops. Right. And then we need to sit them beside each other.
So they're kind of dining together, but
communal table, what we call it. But it's for me, we tried it. We didn't try it here, but we have a lot of guests coming, like that. So I thought about maybe doing it because they search on Reddit or something like that, and different communities, and then they find each other, and when they come, they don't know each other, and it's first time, so kind of blind date. But we just seen it where where they come and they cannot, they really don't like each other, and it make it this little bit awkward situation, and maybe the experience not that great. So in that way, I'm not a big fan of putting people together that don't maybe end up not liking each other, because then it's a very long evening.
I've
6
done
hours.
Noma. I went as a solo diner at a table. I was with 3 other people, and so it is that you don't know who you're dining with, and it is it's a very special experience. I was just curious about that.
I'm afraid it will be what you can say. It will take down the experience if you sit with somebody you don't like it. I think that's maybe my doubt about it. But I can also see that it's happening anyway, that I want it or not, because there is one dynasty, single dynasty, then search for somebody to join them, and it's happening weekly. So I've actually thought about, then we could just at least curate the process of it. So maybe it will come.
No pressure from me. You're going to do what you're going to do. But I find one of the reasons I started to, dining out by yourself is it can be I go to a lot of restaurants, and it's easy just to make a decision to buy a ticket, pay, go to this restaurant, and you don't have to run it by anyone. And the price point of this is high. So it's so to get someone who would also want to commit to that, because I'm all in, but so sometimes it's just easier just to be I'm just going to go because I want to go. But we'll see. I was just the chef's counter, because the way you're designed, it is a very cool chef's counter.
It could easily be a 1 top sitting beside you.
Anyways, okay, that was a little. We'll go back to the game. Back to the game. I have a few more. Tipping or all-inclusive charge?
Oh, can I add something to that?
Yes, can. Yes, there's no rules to my game.
Tipping. I think tipping. I feel you can get this extraordinary experiences where you feel okay, this person made something for me that was special, or the restaurant did something, whatever it could be. Then I like that you can put a gratitude to it. But when that's said, especially in Denmark, it's in Denmark everything is paid and taken care of. People get a average salary. They get here they pay pension, health insurance. We're not working more than the EU law requires. We try to be very holistic about our working place. So in that way, they don't need it. It's not a part of the salary. And I think in the States, I don't know, I think it changed a lot as well, but in the States there's still parts where you need to put at least 25%.
Well, tipping is people typically, it's customary, grown up traditional, that tipping is a part of our culture, and it's a part of restaurants. I think there's some restaurants that have implemented all-inclusive, but Danny Meyer of UNESCO Hospitality Group, his restaurants several years ago decided to get rid of tipping and go all inclusive, and then he did it for a few years, and then he ended up going back to tipping just because I find, at least as a consumer, it's a little bit, when you look like the prices, you know, with a scallop dish that would normally be 32, here it was 38. And it's a little like just your mind perception of looking at it and be like, $38 for a scallop dish, like that's a lot. But then you realize when you get the bill at the end that you're actually kind of saving money because it's less than what it would be with the tip you would put on it. Sure. But it's like a perception thing. And I think in the US, most people, we're brought up with the tipping culture. So it is more, that's the one, this game I play, I kind of standard ones. And that's always the one that's a little like tricky for people to answer.
And also in Denmark, it's like we get a lot of guests from the States, like half of the guests every day is from the States, and it's they're tipping like 10, 15, 20% on top of it nearly always. It's like, it's a high
that's what
tip.
We know, and we don't.
And we also say like you don't need to put that much on, but in a Danish guest it's like it can be $10, like it's like a smaller amount. So.
Well, okay, a few more. Open kitchen or closed kitchen?
I like open kitchens.
Yeah, and you have nice, glass window, and a see in. I don't ever say it right. Smørrebrød is what I say.
Smørrebrød, yeah.
Or a Danish hot dog on the street.
Danish hot dog.
Okay, cool. Cheese plate or dessert?
It needs to be a really good dessert, but I think cheese plate.
Okay, and last one is, I have Manhattan or Brooklyn or Copenhagen. Or you could do New York City or Copenhagen.
New York City or Copenhagen. That's a good...
I finally stumped you. You got through the whole game, and this is the one?
It's hard because, I think there's many things in New York. I think I will love to be part of, fighting some of the more crucial, homeless situations, both in, I was just in LA recently for Coachella, also to see that it's devastating to see so many living on the street. But also when you look into the gastronomy and the privilege they have with ingredients and so many amazing ingredients and products and get where Copenhagen is a little bit hard to get these ingredients, and it's very sourcing time, take a lot of time, cost a lot of money to get some products where you can is on the highest quality, but it's where that I'm jealous by some of the chefs in the States where they can get this amazing quality ingredients. And then I like the whole the vibe and the energy and that atmosphere that's there. But what I love about Copenhagen as well is that it's so small that you can have an overview of everything. I think also New York, maybe for me, but I'm from the farmer side, it's maybe too big, in a way.
Well, it is big, but yeah. Well,
that's also amazing because everything is possible, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the game. Yeah. And then last question is, and I brought you a copy of my new book out, Chef Wise.
Oh, thank you.
It's over 100 chefs around the world. It's their advice.
Okay, cool.
And I want to know, what's your top advice for aspiring a young cook or someone or anyone out there, I bet I know you could have a book of advice.
Yeah, there's probably a couple, but I think to keep going and never stop dreaming. And I have never had the cards in my life that was pointing in any direction that I was sitting here today and be relevant for a podcast from someone that knows something about food from the States. And but all of this happened because I believed that I could do it, and of course a lot of hard work as well. But I think in the believing, I think never to give up that and have hope for what you want to do. And I think if you want to change the world through gastronomy, it's possible to do it. You just need to believe enough in it. But then another thing, also maybe stay true to yourself in whole of that journey. I think that's very important, and remember yourself in it as well. That's a thing I can have seen when I look back, that maybe in the ego of trying to get to the dream, also maybe lost part of relationships with friends, different things through the way that not because I've been a jerk or anything, but because I just focused all my time into this.
Yeah, no, I get that.
I mean, it's very time consuming. So maybe also understand there's other things in life than just cooking. And I think actually COVID in that way was bad for many things, but in that way it's been also an eye opener for many chefs and many restaurants and restaurateurs and young talents as well, that they understand there's more than. So I think the younger generation seems smarter than maybe my generation in what it takes, and
my
and it seems
generation.
like there's a change in it, but believe in yourself and then follow the dream. I think that's at least the wise.
Fabulous. I love that. Thank you so much. Such an honor to meet you, to have this opportunity to chat with you. We've dined at your restaurant. I can't wait to see whatever is to come. And I'll see you in Vegas.
See you in Vegas. Hopefully. We cross our fingers that we will be there.
If I was a betting person, I would say I'll see you in Vegas.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
But yeah, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Rasmus Munk of Alchemist in Copenhagen, which I had the pleasure of dining at very recently and meeting you and doing an interview. Congratulations, we're at the world's 50 best restaurants, and you are on the list this year as number 8?
It's number 8, exactly, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, we're very happy, and I'm pleased to be in the top 10 and just be a part of the 50 best list and these events and see so many great colleagues. It's amazing. And then like this Rotas number 1 this year was, I'm very happy for that.
Very happy for them too. I think well deserved. And as with your restaurant, I mean, what you're doing is so extraordinary, very special.
Fantastic.
How much did your clientele come from, like, lists? Did people come in and let you know, like, how they heard of you, or how does it affect business?
Yeah, I think it, of course, give a lot of attention to the restaurant, and I think there's a lot of people flying from around the world for when they see it on the 50 best list. So in that way, it attracts some people to the guests to the restaurant. We've been very privileged from the start that we have been solid booked and have a huge waiting list. So in that way, we're probably not gonna feel it from day to day right now, but it's always nice, and it's always great to be a part of the top of the game, and in that way, hopefully bring more guests in the future to Copenhagen and Denmark as well.
Yes, I want to come back. You've been to Vegas?
I went one time before in February, had an event with Super Bowl, so this is second time.
Yeah.
But it's nice, good to be back. It's like just everything is huge and overwhelming. So when you come from little Denmark.
Yeah, I come from big cities, and I still feel the same way.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, well, the hotels especially, they're also grandeur. Yeah. So, well, I'll let you get back to the festivities, but congratulations. Enjoy the rest of your time in Vegas, and I'll see you in Denmark or perhaps elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. See you in Copenhagen.
Thank you.
Whether you're a chef or just love going to restaurants, you know the best ingredients are everything, especially when it comes to beef. In Northern Australia, there's a different approach to raising high-quality beef. Westholme, based in Queensland and Northern Territory, is working with the land to create nature-led Australian Wagyu. Westholme stewards 16 million acres of rangeland, guided by their natural ecosystems. They're led by a belief that if they balance the needs of their cattle with the needs of the environment, both can thrive. Westholme's team of rangelands experts and nature managers use a variety of tools to monitor and respond to the welfare of the environment, like satellites that address grass health and on-the-ground research. Cattle are happier when they have the freedom to forage and explore, so Westholme ensures that they can roam wild, foraging at will for the first 2 to 3 years of their lives. Their cows graze on native grasses like Mitchell grass, which is only found in Australia, along with dozens of other plants, herbs, and seasonal legumes. The result is a high-quality Wagyu beef that reflects the terroir of Northern Australia and a flavor suited to complement any cuisine. Westholme believes that when nature leads, flavor follows. Learn more at westholme.com.
Welcome back to All in the Industry on Heritage Radio Network. I'm your host and producer, Shari Bayer, and today my guest is Rasmus Munk, the head chef and co-owner of Alchemist restaurant in Copenhagen, Denmark. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Rasmus that took place back in April when I was visiting Copenhagen and had a phenomenal meal at his restaurant, Alchemist. And then my follow-up interview with him in Las Vegas, which took place in June. So thank you so much, Rasmus, for joining me. I truly enjoyed both of our conversations and getting to know you. And huge congratulations on the world's 50 best and everything you've achieved. It's quite incredible. And I can't wait to get back to Alchemist one of these days, hopefully on the sooner side. Okay, so it's time for my solo dining experience. This week, I'm going to share about another wonderful experience that I had while I was visiting Copenhagen in April, and it's at ILUKA. Here's the rundown. The location, Peter Skram's Gade 15, Copenhagen, 1054 Denmark. The concept, a seafood restaurant, sustainable seafood served with care and commitment. The chef and owner, Beau Clugston. Why'd I go? Well, I became a fan of ILUKA back in 2018 when I was visiting Copenhagen and had dined there with some friends during the MAD Symposium, which I was lucky to go to. And it was a place I always wanted to get back to. So that's why I went. My experience. So I made a reservation for one, and I was running a little late to get there. I called the restaurant to let them know, and all was fine and good. When I arrived, I was able to get a seat at a high top in the kitchen area. There are a few different dining rooms and a bar area, but I was at the pass where Beau was at the pass and actually jumping behind the line too. And I reintroduced myself to him, and he served me several of my dishes, and we got to chat a lot, and it was really nice to spend some time with him and get to know him and enjoy his fantastic seafood restaurant. So what I get? Well, they do have a tasting menu. I believe it's called A Taste of ILUKA, but I opted to go with the a la carte menu, pretty much over ordering and being sent out a couple extra dishes from Beau and his team. So I was very spoiled. I started with Murray, that's Muri, Murray Copenhagen Passing Clouds. It's a non-alcoholic sparkling drink, and it was lovely. And then to eat, I had seafood tartare with nori and trout roe, a special fish crudo with peas. I had a sweet potato with squid, cured egg yolk, and Thai basil. There was baked langoustine with bisque butter and parsley. I had a small tile fish with kale, soft herbs, and nori butter. And then for dessert, Mayan red chocolate sorbet with soft meringue and grated milk and dill oil. I also drank sparkling water and had a coffee. So that was my meal, my take. I really loved it all. I'm a huge seafood lover, so this is my kind of restaurant, from the tartare to the langoustines and the fish and the chocolate at the end. It was a really fantastic meal. The ambiance, so it's pretty casual. It's in a building that's in a townhouse-like space. So it is like you're dining in someone's home. There's a front room with a bar, and then I was in the side room with the kitchen, and then there's another intimate dining room, and it's casual and homey and lit by candlelight. I'd say it's perfect for dining solo or with friends. Interesting tidbit. So Beau is an Aussie, and he had relocated to Denmark from London, where he worked for Gordon Ramsay, and he initially came to Copenhagen to work at Noma. And in opening ILUKA in 2018, it is an ode to the ocean. Everything is cooked simply and sublimely, and ILUKA has been on the world's 50 best discovery list as well. personal fun fact. So as I mentioned earlier, I had dined there back in 2018 with some friends, and we sat in the front room at a communal table. And I remember we had this sea urchin that was incredible. So the cost of my meal was 700 DKK. That's the Danish krone, and that converts to about 101 US dollars. Would I go back? Yes, I love visiting Copenhagen, and I'm sure I will be back at some point in the near future. Their website is restaurantiluka.com, and that's ILUKA.com, and Instagram is at ILUKACPH. So there you go. Thank you, Beau and team. It was very special dining at your restaurant, and I appreciate your hospitality. And that is the show. Thank you again to Rasmus, Munk, and his entire team at Alchemist for the wonderful hospitality and for welcoming me back to do our interview. It was very special. So to find out more about Rasmus and his restaurant Alchemist, you can go to their website, alchemist.dk, on Instagram at Restaurant Alchemist, and he is at Rasmus Munk Alchemist, and that's RASMUSMUNK, and then Alchemist. So check that out, and you can follow me as always at Shari Bayer, at Bayer PR, and at All Industry. My Facebook page is All in the Industry, and my websites are BayerPublicRelations.com, ShariBayer.com, and AllInTheIndustry.com. All of our shows are archived at heritageradionetwork.org. We are also on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. If you haven't already, check out my book, Chef Wise, Life Lessons from Leading Chefs Around the World by Phaidon. It's available wherever books are sold. Thanks to my engineer, Armin. Thanks again to Rasmus, and thanks to Beau. I am your host and producer, Shari Bayer. I will be back soon with a new show. Stay safe and stay well. And thank you, as always, for being part of All in the Industry. Bye. All in the Industry is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. Keep in touch at heritageradionetwork.org/subscribe.